Hello there, it's me, Sari, here again, and today I'm actually starting from the finish in the front. This is what I'll be making in this long chatty real lifetime video. And well, I did take a break for a couple of months. I didn't do any crafty stuff, and I just decided that this would actually be good enough. And I sort of like the pale pink and grey colors in this. So let's head on to the actual tutorial video as it goes. Bye bye! Hello there and welcome to my sort of live kind of a shoot. I'm not going to edit this video, so if you don't like me rambling about and not really knowing what to do, well, perhaps this sort of a video isn't for you. But if you are interested in learning and finding out more about my thought process, making a mixed media canvas, not precisely like this one, I'm just going to show you this one as a sort of a show and tell kind of a thingy. And I'm just, you know, I haven't been crafting with making any mixed media projects for a while, so I thought it's time to do something. But I'm a little bit rusty, so I'm not going to be able to do anything perfect. But I just thought I'd take you on the cruise with me, and I'm going to be using some stencils, and I'm hoping I'll be able to use decorative pearls like this. I'm not sure which I'm going to use it, but I just wanted to show you that these can be found in home department stores, perhaps, on the decorative departments, really. Glitter pearls, these are called. I mean, I'm thinking you could have these on a plate and perhaps have some candles and everything. Of course, if you want to go really hardcore, you could go for some art stones from Finnabair and Prima. And there are many more ways of finding these wonderful things. You could also, if you wanted to, go for some see-through half pearls like this. So I'm just having these things in front of me to inspire me, sort of. Then, of course, there is some glass glitter also from Finnabair and Prima, which I might use and might not, you never know. And then I found this set, decorative pearls, it says. And these are intended to be put in a vase, and then you could put your flowers in there, I suppose. So these are decorative stones or pearls, really. And, you know, I've been collecting these for some time now. I really don't know what to do with them. And you know what? I might end up using rubbish, junk, and make this into a junk mixed media canvas. You never know. In here, you see, I'm a mad person, I must admit that. I have kept or held on to these small mosaic bits when I have die cut something else. I might actually glue these down, you never know. This is just something that I have found on a parking lot or on my walks. You know, these are lightweight, so I mean these could come in handy if you wanted to go for some texture. Just look at that, it's dirty and everything, but still, it could be something that I use on this piece. And here is a box or a drawer of things. Here is some lace and anti-slippery things that you can put under your carpets. Work perfectly for some texture. So that's basically where I'm at, and I'm thinking that I might actually, you know what, just wanted to show you this one also. I have made these sort of mixed media canvases in black before, and then I have pre-painted these things with black gesso. And well, I might go with this one into a black hue, I might not. If I'm not going to go there, I had better go for some die cut pieces. I have used some thick dies from Sizzix and Tim Holtz in order to cut these out of cheap cardboard. You could also put a corkscrew here if you wanted to. I mean, just have to think about what you're going to glue things down with. And talking about that, I'm thinking that this 3D matte gel from Finnabair and Prima really does the trick. It does take quite a bit of time for it to dry, mind you, but it does the work, and then you have the possibility of actually shifting things around while you're thinking about where to place it. On the other hand, I'm sort of a rushy person, I don't want to wait too long, so in that case I might go for my heat gun or my glue gun and some other glue, and I'm going to make a compound or mixture with those two, and so far I've actually succeeded using them. But let's see if I could get started. I'm using a canvas, and I'm not sure, could it be 15 times 20 or something centimeters? And one thing, of course, is that you're going to use the top piece of this. You could, of course, also just go for a basic piece of paper in the same size, working on it on a flat surface, and then glue it down on this one. And of course you could turn it over and work on the depth bit here, but then you're really going to lose out on the opportunity of using those stencils on a large scale. Then you would absolutely just have the possibility of putting it here on the sides and perhaps trying to force the stencil in there, but it's going to be a bit more difficult to take it out of there later on. So I think I'll just go for the easy bit, because this is my inspiration for today. I have die cut a word that says love, and the Valentine's Day is coming soon, so I'm just having that in my head really. I have die cut this out 4 times, and this is just one, and I have glued down 3 of them, so it's going to make it a little bit thicker and sturdier, and I'm hoping it's going to be able to stand on its own. First off, I was thinking that I could just have a piece of paper that I'm going to do some collage stamping on, and I'm just going to glue this one down. But then I thought that, hey, why not go mad with the mixed media thing? And when it comes to these bits, these are supposedly to be put here in the back like so, but in this case they are rather loose, so they're not staying there, and they're not strengthening or hardening the canvas. So I thought that I could actually do a Marimi small art lifting here. Perhaps I could use these in the corners or something just to create some texture. I might forget all about this when I get started. That's usually what I do, but let's see where I'll end up. So I think I'll just start by taking out a brush. It's from Finnabair also, Art Basics, and it's a rubber brush. It hasn't got any bristles. It's just a piece of rubber or silicone, and it's going to be easy to paint with it and easy to clean it. So that's mostly what I'm going to use it. And what I've got here is some cheesecloth, and I do like to work with cheesecloth, and especially I want to make it sort of creepy, sort of a Halloween themed thingy here. So I want to create some texture, layered texture, and the thing I'm going to do that with is just by painting on some white gesso. And with the white gesso I'm also going to get some sort of a texture or surface to all of this. And you know, gesso is said to have the character of giving the surface a bit of tooth, something that paint and sprays and everything just can stick onto. So that's why it's really nice to use gesso. And gesso comes in white and black and clear. So depending on what kind of project you're working on, you can actually go for one of those 3, couldn't you? So I'm just going to glue it down sloppily like this. Some of the texture, of course, is going to be hidden, because I'm going to put on several layers of things here. That's my intention anyway right now. So let's see where I can end up with this. And of course in this video I'll have to do some drying with my heat gun, and that is going to lengthen the video, the time of the video here. So there we are with that, and I'm going to take another piece, because I don't want to be stingy with this. I just want to use it because I have it. And the one thing you should think about, of course, if you're going to do some spraying on top of gesso. Gesso is a hungry medium, so it's going to eat colour. So if you're going to spray it on top, the gesso might seep through it. So you might have to go back and add on some more spray colour on top of it. So now I have something going on there. I haven't painted this thoroughly, and the good thing about gesso, of course, is it's a pretty quick drying medium, so I might as well just put in a layer like this. I mean, this isn't a glue, mind you, but I'm going to use it as a glue now, because I'm just going to glue that that cheesecloth there, but it isn't a glue. I think it's a mixture of chalk perhaps and something else, I'm not sure what. And I think gesso is the Italian word for something, a chalky paint or something. It's not paint either, is it? It's a primer. So, struggling here a bit. I don't want to get my fingers too dirty or gessoed, but I'm going to end up there anyway, so I might as well just go for it. And I'm just doing this sloppily because that is also going to enhance the effect of having different variations in the intensity of the color. So I'm not a perfect person in that way that I want everything to be crisp and clean and everything. I'm more of, let's make it work, you know. So I'm going to use a baby wipe to clean this up because gesso dries fairly quickly, as I said. And I don't want this one to be ruined. I mean, these tools are fairly expensive, so in some cases I am good at cleaning things, otherwise I'm not. So let's see if I can just continue. And in this case I'm just going to take my heat gun or heated craft tool from Ranger. And if you have an embossing folder or embossing gun, heat gun since before, you might hear a difference in the sound. This is basically all it has. So I'm just going to put on some heat so I can make it dry to the touch, so I can continue with some stenciling here. I think that will do it. I was just thinking that if I were to put on a ton of things here, I would really like to strengthen it underneath, and I would really like to go for some sort of an industrial glue that really keeps things in place. But I'm not going to go there today. I'm sort of aiming to keep things simple, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do so. I think I'll just go for this number stencils from Dilutions. It's from Ranger, I believe. And it's Diane Reveley that makes it. And I'm going to use a spatula, like this. And I'm going to go for some relief paste. In Swedish it's called relief pasta, I think. And just any sort of thick medium you could go for, really. So I'm just going to move it or stir it a little bit, take up a little bit on the back side of my spatula, and I'm going to put the stencil intentionally just a little bit outside, and I'm going to keep it in place, and I'm just going to make it go a little bit more in a random fashion. This isn't as thick as I would. Just look at that mess. I don't like that. This one isn't hard thick, if you know what I mean. It's just a little bit too loose, so I need to fix this. And you know what, it's not a bad idea, because then I could bring out my small journal that I have started working on. I haven't really made anything mixed media like after this, so perhaps I could just you know what, this is going to be a mess. But I'm hoping I'll be able to just put it there. This book, by the way, comes from Dilutions. That's why the stencil itself fits perfectly in this gap here. So I'm going to lift it up, and in this case it actually worked better. So one mustn't have too much of that goo. So I think I'll just try to get rid of it, scrape it off best I can. And try to make it work yet again, because I'm not going to give up now, am I? So let's see if I'm going to add on something like this. And the thing, of course, to think about is that working on a canvas is not going to be straight, it's going to bend a little, so that's something also to think about. So know your medium and how you're going to use it. I mean, if you have a really thick medium, then of course you can dab on quite a lot. This is not perfect, but I'm hoping I'll be able to put some pearls or something up there later on. And since I am the sort of a diagonal kind of a girl, I'm going to use it down here as well. And I'm just going to take a little bit on the back, because I know now that too much is never a good thing when it comes to this sort of half runny medium. So I'm having something there. So now I could actually just put that one on the side, and I'm thinking that I could just take this one back, and I could try to really scrape everything off like this. And leave this to dry. I mean, just look at that. It's looking really nice in my book. Haha, no pun intended, really. I'm going to let that self-dry. And I'm going to, you know what you could do? Take another sort of a mixed media thingy here. Let's see if I have anything here. And I'm going to scrape it off. You know what? I'm just having some kind of a junk journal going on here. So I might actually give it a go with a baby wipe, just to see if I can get anything out of it. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Because sometimes you can get a subtle effect just by using it like this. And of course it's going to be a little bit yellow because I haven't been too good a girl cleaning this, have I? So I would really like something else to dry this on. So I'm going to take another magazine. Let's hang on. This is actually a newspaper, so I'm just going to use it. Just look at that, baby. It's a little bit yellowish. I'm just going to wipe it off like that. And I'm going to take care of it on the back side as well. Of course, had I thought about it, I could have had a tray with water. But then again, where would I have? Would I have had the room for it? I'm not sure. So I think I had better do it like this. And then know that it's sort of taken care of. And so I think that's as good as it gets. And I'm going to close these things, and I'm actually going to wipe that spatula as well, because I don't want that to dry. It's going to be concrete like now, isn't it? Otherwise. So let's put those aside, and I'm going to take that heat tool again. And the thing to think about also, that if you have a really sort of a wet medium, the risk is that it's going to bubble. The best thing, of course, is to leave it to do itself dry, or air dry. One could, of course, also go back and forth and not put too much heat to it in one go. Just go back and work yourself up and down like this, just to make it dry to the touch, and hopefully you'll be able to go on. And since I'm going to create a mixed media texture, it doesn't really have to be perfect. It could be sort of a shabby look. And talking about shabby, I just came to think about that perhaps it could be fun to make this into a shabby chic sort of a thing. Playing with the colors of white and grey perhaps, and perhaps a little bit of pink, since this is going to be a love themed mixed media canvas. So perhaps I have got my color scheme settled for me here, you never know. One thing I came to think about, of course, is it would have been fun to have some texture on the sides as well, so perhaps I'll need to think about that before I go too far. I actually did plan on using this triangular thing, and this one comes from Dutch Doobadoo, and I'm thinking it's a Dutch company. So let's say I were to put here, here and here. Let's try it. Let's use a different one. And you know what? I'm thinking of seeing if I could find a little bit thicker. So I don't like that relief. I'm going to find something from Finnabair, because I do have lots of mixed media stuff and I haven't got everything here. So hang on. What one really ought to do, of course, is make a sort of a... Look at that. That one has crackled properly. This is a crackle paste, texture paste, but it has gone on too dry. So I doubt I'll be able to use it. And I'm not sure even if I could add some water to this. But you know what? I think I'll just try it. Just try to see what I can do with it. If I could use it here at least. This is a much thicker paste. Oh, this is what I'm looking for, definitely. I mean, you can sort of know what you're going to get from the get-go, so you needn't really worry about that. So, let's make this one come to work while I can. Then, of course, I'm thinking, what will happen when it has dried on this canvas? Will it just crack and fall off? It might. Hopefully not. So I think I'll just try to make it work like so, and I'm just going to use the line that I've got on this stencil, and I'm just going to add this really haphazardly like so. I don't want it perfect now, do I? So I have it in 3 places, one there, one there, one there. And I'm going to wait a little with the other side, because I don't really want to... I want to let that one dry now. So I think I'll just go for another page in this sort of a junk journal where I try to do some hand drawing, and I'm not good at drawing at all. That's why I really like stamps, because I like to stamp more than draw by my hand, my own hand. So there we have it. Oh, look at that. You know, sometimes I like this better, or the best. So the leftover mixed media bits, that's what I like the most, really. But I'm thinking, could I add some water to this and sort of let it come to life again? I'm not sure. I need to Google that, I suppose. And now I'm going to need a baby wipe. And where did I put them? Can't see them now, can I? They're just to the left of me. So I need to take this again, another baby wipe, of course, and sort of just drag it clean like so. There we have it. I might go back, I'm not sure if I will. And you know what, I'm thinking that perhaps I ought to try to glue other things down while these things are drying by themselves. And I'm going to wipe this one as well, so I have it cleaned up, sort of. I just came to think about the crackled texture paste. I mean, you really ought to use your stuff. You shouldn't hold on to them, because they aren't going to last forever now, are they? So I'm thinking about these. Will I be able to make anything sensible out of them? I'm not sure. Perhaps I could play around with a pattern of sorts. and at the same time think about what to glue them down with. You know what? I could of course glue them down like so and have a length. I really would like to. You know, the thing is that it might be a good idea to think about if I'm going to put the love word here, because I'm not sure that I want to put it in the center. It's not all about that now, is it? So what would I like with these? Would I like them to be like this? I'm not sure. I don't want to hide that too much either. I could of course settle for these and perhaps have something up there. That could actually do. So the thing is, I could go for the... I think I'll just have another one that is opened. So I'm going to take some 3D matte gel. I'm going to use this brush, and it seems that this is also drying up. My goodness. So it's a good thing that I've started using these now, isn't it? So if I remember it correctly, one needs to use a fair amount of this. Just put it down there. And I'm going to put it there. And as I told you, this is going to take quite a bit of time to dry. So I have the possibility of moving these around if I want to, and even add things underneath if I would like to. If I'm getting there in my mind that I would like something else underneath here. Well, you see, I think I'll just try to make this work like so. And perhaps I could go for something like this also. I'm thinking that perhaps it could be a good idea to have them like so. And what I'm thinking of now is that in the final end I could use something a little bit more with more texture to it. You know what, I think I'll just go for something like that. I don't want things to be buttered up perfectly like so, so I'm going to put that one a little bit higher, and I could actually take that away. And I could sort of make it work with that one there. And then of course it's nice to get rid of the extra. One could of course with a wet brush go back in and pick it away while it's still wet here. So now I have used this one. Let's see how I'm going to settle for that in the end. I usually want to go for some proper glue and my glue gun. So now I have those things going on there. So what more could I do? I mean, just having these things really wouldn't make my day now, would they? But since I have started out like this, I might actually... You know what, I do have this Stone Effect paste, and this one is called Pumice, and I haven't used it. So I might actually just take it and... should I find another stencil? I do have quite a few. And you know what, perhaps I could go for some letters, or what else could I go for? I think I'll just go for letters just to keep things cohesive here. So let's see if I can find the stencil again. There it is. And this one is also from Dilutions. So let's see if I could make it work with this. And let's see if I can keep it in place. This has got some texture. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at the height. And that, I'm thinking that really needs to dry by itself. So I could benefit from using it on the top here as well, and this is really nice if you want to use it for proper texture, if you just want to have a touchy-feely thingy. Lift it up, and here we are. I think I'll just let that one self-dry again, and I'm going to do the same thing again. And let's see if I could... I don't think that one is dry enough. Well, actually it is. You know, this one here. So let's see if I could put in some letters up here. And I'm thinking that a baby wipe could do the trick better, but I'm going to give it a go with this one first. Whoa, nice. So this is really a part of the mixed media. Just making sure that you get the most of your products in various places. And of course I could have put this one on the third place also, but I'm just going to wipe it clean now, aren't I? So there we have it. And you know what, I'm thinking that I might be able to get away with heat setting this. I could start with this first. I just came to think about that I didn't actually use these. I'm going to need a pair of scissors. So I have something going on here that I might actually just cut off like this, just to see what it would look like. And perhaps I could also just take away this and glue it down like so. So I'm definitely going to go back for the 3D matte gel and add on a generous blob of glue to that one, because I don't want that one to stay in its place. And I see that this one is going to go a bit down, since it's the nature of the canvas, of course. So I might as well just build it up a little, like so. Perhaps I ought to have something else, just to have something to recognize things with. So I'm just going to see if I could create a pattern with this one, sort of. And I'm thinking that I could actually put it there. And I hope that this one has got glue enough. Like so. And I do need to wipe this one clean, because it has already got stuck there. So I just need to really... It was the stone paste, wasn't it? So that really stuck there. And I have some glue here. Could just put it on there, couldn't I? So what else could one do? I'm going back to the love word. I mean, one could be funky enough and have it on the side, but I'm thinking that actually I wouldn't mind having it here, because then I have a base for it. I have something to hold it down, and then I have some texture underneath. The question is, do I want any more texture? Or will it suffice with some colours, sprays and inks and everything? I'm not sure. That could be a place for it, of course. And what I'm thinking of now, of course, is just perhaps making a paste, so I could glue these pearls and bits down. Because I'm thinking, how else am I going to be able to fasten them? Of course, one could go for the 3D matte gel for this as well. And just put it here and there. Just where one imagines having these pearls. And I'm thinking that I would like to have something here also. And I'm thinking that perhaps these are too big, but on the other hand, there is a mixture of the sizes. And of course now it could have been a good idea to have a tray of sorts here. Let's see. I've got this embossing tray or pearl tray or something, so I'm thinking that perhaps I could work with this one underneath. And in this case, I suppose I just have to put them down myself. And I want some randomness to this. I don't want them to be exactly perfect. And then of course I could try with those small ones as well. Why doesn't it want to close? And this is where the tray really comes in handy. Whoopsie! You see? And now I'm thinking that I would like to help these out a little. And I think that it's better to actually put in an extra couple of minutes doing this, because it's a hassle when they start rolling off. Of course I could make sure that they are going to stick, adding on some glossy accents on top of some or this, or just paint over with something else, and I might even end up doing that, but for now I'm just going to press these down like so. Whoopsie. It's nice to have the difference in the sizes of these pearls, I must say. And then again, I want to make sure that I haven't got any glue residue on this one. So, put that up there. And then of course I won't be able to catch all these small pearls, I won't. But at least I got half of them, I hope. And on with the lid. So here we are with that, and you know what, there's a bit of glue on that one as well. And I'm constantly thinking about it would be nice to actually have the time to freeze time here now and let it dry until tomorrow. And perhaps I'll just do that. So I have several things going on here, so let's see if I could speed things up a little. And you know what, I don't really want any heat here now, because that one is going to be distorted by the heat, so I really ought to just leave this to tomorrow. You know what, I have to pause here, and hopefully I'll be able to merge these several film bits together later on. So I'm just going to pause now, or just close it down, and I'll be back. Hello there, I'm back, and I thought that I'd show you what I've done so far. I did leave you without the string and the small mosaic bits there. So what I started off doing was just took a little bit of string and just pull it around the canvas in two directions, just to make it sort of, well, I think it's going to be more interesting looking like that way. And I wanted to make use of these small mosaic bits, and I just started gluing them here and there, and they haven't done their job drying as yet, so I just thought I'd take you in on the trip that I'm thinking of here. I wanted to give you a tip. These are some sort of baking thingy for small cookies, and I found these at a flea market, and I thought that they could do nicely if one could flatten them out, because then they could be made to look like flowers, wouldn't they? So I'm thinking that could actually be there rather nicely, because then there would be some texture underneath, and you could see that it's going to be a raised bit. Of course you could paint these in black, and you could even put them on top of each other like that. So, but you do need an industrial press machine of sorts, because the Cuttlebug doesn't do the trick. You can't really fit those into a die cutting machine. You really need some industrial thing. So my husband actually took care of it at his work. So that's where I am right now. Let's see, I found another box of goodies here. I mean, you know the Yahtzee game with those dies, and that could be something you could use in your mixed media project. And what I've been aching to work with are chess pieces. And in order to be able to use them, you really need to have something underneath. So this one will have something to be stuck on. And I sort of fancy these things. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use it here today or not, but I still wanted to show you this. And these come in various sizes, so you might actually luck out with things. Here's another thing that I bought at a flea market. I really don't know what this is, but I thought that these could be fun to make and glue down if you wanted to put them upright, or just glue them down just for some texture. And well, here's another baking tin, really. And you could also glue down a piece like this in order to create some sort of a computer motherboard thingy looking. And these are also things that I've just bought here and there, as well as these play buttons. You could have some fun with these, I'm sure. And here are some other made out of plastic. The thing is that I see all these things, and I'm thinking all these thoughts, but I never get around to making anything out of them, with them. So perhaps I should challenge myself. I also found this somewhere. I just imagine having that one there. It could be nice. I'm not going to go there today, but still it could be nice. And what on earth is this? I mean, it's a corkscrew, of course, but why this bit? But you see, it could be fun to have there. So the thoughts are in my head, but the process is not in my hands. So that's where we are right now. And why did I think of having string here? Well, the thought in my head was that what would it look like if I only had this bit to fasten the word to? Let's say that it would have been the other way around here. I just thought that I do need something to create a base for the word. So that's where I came up with the idea of actually putting some string here, because then I could put some glue here and here and here and let it just float around there. And sort of, it gives it a direction. I do like to have direction in my things, so I'm basically getting there. What I was thinking of also was actually using some glue gun glue. I do like to make those drops, so I'm just going to plug that one in, and let's see if I can go somewhere with this. And it's going to take me a little while before it's heating up. And I need to make it stand, but it doesn't really want to do that. Well, let's see if it's going to be there. And I did have some cheesecloth underneath, and I'm hoping it'll be visible when I do some painting on top. But I haven't really put any texture at the bottom or on the sides, apart from the string, of course. And well, you know, that could also do, because there I have the cheesecloth there, and there's a little bit of cheesecloth, so perhaps I needn't worry too much about that. I'm just thinking, what else could one do? And I'm just thinking about using one of these, perhaps. I'm just going to start thinking aloud now, because I haven't got the idea. If I would have had the canvas upside down, then of course one could have had those chess pieces up here in order to create texture, or height even. I think I'll just skip that for now. And I sort of like the idea of making a motherboard, but I think it's too late now. I don't want to cram this in there. And I'm thinking, I'm a little bit hesitant, because these are made out of wood and they are painted, and I'm thinking that if I'm going to start painting over these with some white gesso, the color, it's going to seep through, I believe. It's better to go with something plastic then, because then it can dry and I can go over it once more. So the thing is, should I? Why not? And then I need to make sure that all these pieces don't start falling on the floor, because I haven't got a spare bag for these now, have I? So let's see what I've got here. I suppose, I'm not sure what you could do with these. And I'm thinking that if I'm going to go for the yellow bits, then at least they are sort of in the color scheme, and they might be easier to paint over with some white gesso later on. So I'm thinking, what could be nice? I mean, it's nice to tuck things in here and there. And I'm sort of linear in my way of creating. I don't want to create too much of a havoc. So perhaps that one could be put there. And then, of course, I will be needing some really good glue. And I believe that the 3D matte gel is going to be my friend here. So, I'm going to use a thing like this. It's easy to wipe off and get cleaned up. So I'm just going to put some glue here, and as you remember, this is a glue that takes a bit of time to dry, so I'm just going to put it there just to have something fun there. And let's see if I can put the other one somewhere else. And it's nice to have a pokey tool like this, so you can easily scrape off the excess glue. So I'm thinking that one is in that direction, and I might actually just put it here. Then of course I know that having that anti-slip carpet thingy there will make it a little bit more hard to place, but I need to just let it sit there in peace and just hope for the best. And I'm going to put this one here. and hope it will stick there eventually. So at least I'm trying to use these, aren't I? And I'm thinking perhaps I could have one here as well. So just having them going in different directions could be nice. And I'm going to take a baby wipe to clean this one up. So I have it to work with in just a second or two again. Is there anything else I could see myself using? Perhaps not, I'm not sure. Do you know what this is? This is something that you're going to take off of your cartridge for your, it's not ink, well it is an ink cartridge, isn't it? For a photo printer or something. And this is pretty hard to cover in with white gesso, so you do need a couple of paints or coats to make it work. I'm sort of particular, I like using different kinds of shapes. I'm just thinking, what would it be like to have this one sitting here? It could be rather nice, couldn't it? And just having the love word, and you could sort of see things underneath. It wouldn't be too bad now, would it? So I could start building my layers here, sort of. I think I'll just glue it down. And this is something that I need to paint later on, but I'm thinking that since I'm keeping all of these colours sort of cohesive, it won't be too big a deal. I hope. Anyway. Whoopsie. So, what else do I have? One could go for some metal flowers, couldn't one? But then again, I wouldn't really necessarily want to put it in the center. I could see myself putting it here, perhaps. Or I could even see myself going for... Yeah, it's too big. It's too big. Perhaps this one is a better fit. Because I'm sort of fancying having something here. And that is something I could do in the end, actually, because if I would like to keep the color, see-through color here, or just want to keep the color of this glitter, I could actually put it there in the end. And I can also have this one sitting there, and so I could actually wipe with that for a little bit. So let's see, what could I do now? Well, things are sort of in the drying process, aren't they? So I might actually do a bit of cleaning with this baby wipe, taking care of the excess glue. Here and there. And well, I haven't really figured out our next move, so I suppose I'll be coming back and forth with my videotaping. I'm just going to take this step by step and see where I'm going to end up. You see, this one wasn't what I wanted, so I suppose I do need to put something here to keep it in place. So yeah, you know what, I just forgot about myself. I have this one going now, haven't I? So what I could do is make sure that I'm having a droplet of glue running down from the top and just really making it go over the strings and making a sort of an ending there. So it has been dripping there for quite some time, hasn't it? So in this case I'll be able to keep it in place, I hope. And I need some more. So in order to just stick the glue to the other bit, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the end. I'm going to let them kiss for a little and let them be on their merry way. And I do like to have them in different heights. So I'm just going to start with the end here and let it continue, and it isn't really cooperating. Now it's there. It goes through the hurdle there, so I'm going to put those there. And I'm thinking that I could actually just have something going here. And I really want to make sure that I'm not skipping too much. I want to make it look like it's running properly. So 3 of those glue bits there. I could have something at this and on the side as well, of course I could. Haven't tried that before. There's a little bit of extra glue there. There's a puddle for it to come from. It'll have to do. And the glue gun glue dries fairly quickly, as you can see. It doesn't take long for it to go in a different color. And of course I'll be painting this white later on. But in order to really make sure that this one is going to stick there, I want to put a little bit extra there. So, you know what? I'm actually going to go having a drop here as well, and a really big blob. So I can make sure that the string doesn't start running on me. That could be an idea, that could work. And I'm thinking, well, I have actually secured it here. I might put in a little extra. So that's where I am right now. And I'm not sure if I need to do that much more, because I do want to have it sort of open as well. And one doesn't need to go overboard all the time. But just imagining this, and I'm going to let it dry because I have this long time drying glue here, so I'm not going to rush things because I have things out of plastic here. And if I'm going to go in with my heat gun, these things are going to be warped. So I think I'll just start thinking about where to place the love word. And I'm thinking it might do here. One could of course use the lines and let it go straight, but I don't like, I do not need my text to go straight. That's how anal I am. And I'm thinking it could work here somehow. I might come up with some new ideas, and if I do, I'll be telling you when I come back. So, another pause. Bye-bye. Let's see, I'm back again, and this is how far I have come. I mean, I've been waiting a couple of days to get some inspiration, but I'm thinking that I'll actually just leave things as they are. Although, I'm thinking now that I perhaps do need something here to keep it in place. The strings, I mean. I ought to have thought of that. I suppose that the quickest way of actually going about it is just add some glue there. So bear with me, and perhaps I'll have another idea or so while I'm doing that. So this is how far I've come. I do believe that if I'm getting, well, the thing is, I'm thinking I could glue some buttons here or something, but if I'm going to do some spraying and things, I think that I do need something to really stick here right now. Of course, there could be something fun having, and now I have this junk box here. And I'm not even sure if there's anything here I would like to glue down. But a thing like this perhaps could be fun, I'm not sure. You see, this is something one could have. But since this is, I mean, I'm just thinking about the long run. How well will it be sticking there, and how much time will it need to dry? So I'm just thinking that perhaps the quickest way for me to go about it is using this glue gun. But my thought now, I could start with something else perhaps in the meanwhile. I'm thinking that I might get started using some sprays or colors of sorts. I do have various things here. This is Memory Hardware from Frank Garcia and by Prima. And Vintage Ivory is this powder, which you are supposed to just be able to dab on top, and I think you're going to be able to just set it with water and make it work. So I have 3 other of these jars, and I've got the, I'm not sure, what does it say, Partheny something, and La Chapelière, and Vosseau. This is black, so perhaps I could go with this in order to create some depth later. So in this case I thought I'd go for my Brusho jars, and I'm thinking, I was talking about pink and so perhaps grey and black as the deeper things. So let's see if I can go there, and I might even go in with the Prima's mica powders, because they also work with water. So let's see, I do have various colors here, and I have put on some labels on top so I know sort of what color there is. And I'm thinking that I supposed I had something I could go for, but the thing that I'm looking at right now is rose red, but I'm looking for some pink. So let's see, I'm going to go for some scarlet. And the thing is, I'm thinking that it could be sort of light up here, but it could be darker down here. So let's see if I can make it work. And then of course I'm not sure if I'm even, you know what, I'm skipping ahead too much. I actually need to paint all of this white with gesso, because otherwise I won't be able to get things stuck to the surface. So I actually have to go in that direction, don't I? So let's see if I can get this one running. And let's see if I can just get something going on here. And I actually think I'm going to get it there. And I'm going to put on a blob. So I'm hoping that will keep it in place. And the good thing about having a glue gun, of course, is that the glue dries fairly quickly. Let's see if I can keep it there for now. So I'm going to switch it off and be on my merry way. So what I do need to think about now is start painting this with white gesso. And in this case I really do need a brush, because I want to get into those nooks and crannies, all the crevices really. So let's see if I can find myself some gesso. I believed I had one, but there is some clear gesso there, but I'm not going to go for that. So I suppose I just have to go and get another jar then. I sprung my ankle the other day, so I'm still having problems walking here. So let's see, I mean it's pretty crowded here, isn't it? So I just have to move things about. And I'm still here even though you don't see me. You might hear me, of course. So I have this big mama of white gesso primer that I'm going to go for, and just have to find the opening for it. So this is a really big jar, and when I bought it I thought I'm going to have something that will last me quite some time, and it does have last, because I haven't been that good at crafting now, have I? So I'm just going to take a brush. It's black now, but I'm hoping it will work anyway. And what I do need to start with, of course, is start painting all of it with some white gesso. And I don't think that I need to put in too thick a coat, because I just want to have a white surface to work on really. Of course I could have gone for some black gesso as well, perhaps even black acrylic paint, because I've been working with acrylic paints before. It has been alright, but gesso is something that has become quite popular when it comes to scrapbooking, paper crafting, mixed media and everything. And as I told you before, gesso has got some tooth to it, so it'll give a good base for whatever medium I'm going to add on later. But I have to bear in mind that white gesso is sort of hungry, it eats colour, so I might have to add on more than I think. So now that I'm coming to the pearls bits and everything here, I just want to cover them. And since I am sort of perhaps trying to make this sort of a shabby chic thing or something similar, and I'm not sure, perhaps everything doesn't have to be white. But of course these yellow bits, I do want them to be sort of covered, so I suppose I ought to start off with them really, give them the chance of actually drying and perhaps putting on a second coat while I'm in the process really. And even the bottle cap could also get a second coat because it's darker than the rest of the bits. And I can continue here. And then of course I'm hoping that the spray colors or just the pigment powder colors will sort of seep through and create some depth later on. And also getting some gesso on top of those glue beads or glue strains or what you call them. It's a nice touch because then I have something that can grab hold onto these, because these are sort of plasticky and I need something to let the color sit on. And when it comes to this, I'm thinking that, well, I could be a little more haphazard perhaps. Perhaps I might regret it later, you never know. So perhaps I ought to go around this properly. And I'm just reminding myself that why I'm not using my heat gun to dry all of these things is just to not warp this bit, this sort of plasticky, non-slippery carpet underneath surface thingy. Because if I'm going to use my heat gun on top of them, they are going to be warped and they are going to lose their shape. And I'm not really into that now, because I do want them to keep their sort of geometric square pattern. So now I'm actually dipping into the big jar there and just picking up some gesso from there, since I don't have a palette to work from. And you know, I always tend to keep the jar on the wrong side, and I'm not sure why. Perhaps it's a way of not dirtying myself more than enough. If I would have it on this side, I'm not sure. But it always seems to end up on the wrong side. I'm not sure why, really. Well, let's see. I'm going to go down here. And I'm thinking that some of these pearls might actually come off later. I'm not happy that they are, but I'm just thinking that's the way they are glued down and everything, since they aren't in a paste from the get-go, since I did mix them up or just pour them on top of that whatever glue I used there. So now it's getting there. some people have asked me in my other video that sort of seems to be quite popular, because I'm getting a lot of comments and I'm really happy about that actually. So thank you all of you for liking that video. And well, some of you have asked me if I can put some varnish on top of this, and I'm sure you could, but I haven't really tried that yet, so I can't really properly say which varnish to use. I mean, my first thought is to just go for some hairspray, but I'm thinking that the hairspray might be too sticky in the end, and I'm not sure if that's the proper way to go. Of course, you could put some lacquer on this. I do believe that Inca Gold Viva Decor has something like that, but I haven't used it yet, and that one is supposed to be to put on top of those Inca Gold shimmer pastes, but I haven't used that, and that is supposed to be painted on because it's a liquid varnish of sorts. But then again, one of the girls, I'm not sure what her name is now, and she said that if one is going to put on a matte lacquer on, let's say, something that is shiny, of course it's going to be matte. So perhaps one needs to think about that as well before one starts doing things. But of course you could try and practice. You could perhaps perhaps not do it on the canvas itself, but perhaps you could try on something, a side project or something, a smaller piece of something, so you know what it's going to be like. So here we are, and let's see if I could put it there. I was hoping to be able to put on a second coat on these yellow bits. So that's one thing, that if you're having colored plastic bits, they are going to need quite a bit of gesso in order to be covered completely. So in that case, it's nice to think about what color you are going to do the painting with. So I'm just going to close the gesso jar there, and I might actually get the excess off onto these bits here. And gesso is, as I told you, fairly quick drying, but of course the more I work with it, the longer it's going to take. But I'm thinking this could do in a couple of minutes. I'm thinking that perhaps I ought to just pause and go down and clean this brush, and I'll be back. Bye-bye. So let's continue. It isn't dry yet, and I've been waiting, let's say, 10 minutes. So I'm getting impatient now, so I think I have to help things out. So let's see, I was thinking of using those Brusho powders, or just one or two of them actually. So the thing that I'm going to go for, I did see that I have made one of these ones before, and you can see that the Ost red is going to be rather pink and lovely. And just thinking about these, I have them in various colours here, as you can see. And the white, you see, is going to be rather good on black. And I haven't actually continued. Yeah, I've forgotten about these, haven't I? What am I like? So let's see. Scarlet is going to be rather faint, and perhaps I could start with that, using the scarlet, and build up the layers as I go along. That could be an idea actually. So let's see if I can find the scarlet here. There it is. And the thing about Brusho is that since I haven't put on anything on top, I could just start just sort of spicing up the canvas as it were. And now I'm going to start spraying with some water, and just look at the color explosion here. if I can get this one to work. Isn't that marvelous? So there are, I'm thinking, many of these pigment powder thingies. So this is a really nice way of actually going about it and having more control of where the color is going to end up, rather than having a color spray, because the color spray is going to end up spraying all of the place, I think. Water is easier to clean up, I think. So that was Scarlet, and of course I ought to let this one dry. And as you can see, it isn't exactly sort of pinkish, but perhaps the gesso underneath has a different reaction, or gives the color a different reaction. So I'm thinking that rose red might not be that bad. So the thing is that you can apply this on wet, but you could also, on dry I mean, but you could also add it on to wet. And of course the wet needs to be a lot wetter in order for it to react, but I could still try it, couldn't I? So my thought is that I'm going to have it sort of lighter up here, but more colour as I go along. So the rose red, and then I could go with the Ost red, which I think I had down here. I did. So I'm just going to add on a little bit more spice. And here, of course, I'm thinking it could be a good idea actually to use your heat gun, heat tool. Let's see if I can do it and sort of keep it moving, so I won't just stay in one place with it. I might have to eat up my words here, since I've been trying to be patient with the drying process and everything, but I suppose I just have to let it go like this. So this is what it looks like right now, and I'm not really sure if I'm happy with this or not, so I think I'll try to put on even more. I thought I'd continue, and then the question is, of course, should one go in with another color? Well, at least I wanted to give you a heads up on, just look at how the gesso is piercing through, but just going through the pink, so it does need quite a bit of color. But I'm not going to go completely wild mixing and matching all these colors. I just thought I'd intensify some things, and if I'm going to keep it in the sort of pink red scheme with some grey and black tones, I think that is the best way to go about it, because if I start adding on some blue now, it's going to end up purple, and that's not really what I'm looking for. I could of course go for something beige or brown and sort of keep it together, but I think that I could manage another coating of Scarlet. I'm hoping at least. So now there's quite a lot. And I think that the trick is actually to just let it go layer by layer and not rush this. I'm going to continue with rose red. And more water. I'm just thinking that perhaps I ought to try adding on some grey now, just to see what would happen. And just scatter it over there. And if I want to dilute this, I could of course spray with more water, just to make sure that it's going to creep into the crevices and help me create those shadowy effects. And of course it's going to need quite a bit of drying time now. And even though it looks like it's dry to the touch, I would really not say that it is, because I think it's going to need some drying time underneath. So let's see, if I'm going to go for another product then, because then I've tried these. Because what I'm really looking forward to using is, well, this one is black, isn't it? So this one is color clay, so it's a sort of a clayey color. And I don't think that I'm going to go there now, but I was thinking that perhaps the beige, this is an amber color, so I'm not going to go there now either. But I did have this sort of vintage ivory. I'm not sure, should I dare to go there? Let's see what happens. It might not be too bad. So I do have a couple of more of these mica powders that I haven't used. You know what? I could actually show you. The thing is that when you are using mica powders, I have used a couple of these. Could be that the gold is here, I suppose it is. And as you can see, it's a really fine powder, finely grounded powder that you're just going to add on and then spray some water on top, and what you see is magic, because this is painted with black gesso, all of different things that have glued on here, and then I just use those pearl powders, sort of mica powders really, or perfect pearls looking like a kind of powders, but they sort of turn differently if it's going to be on a black surface or perhaps a white surface. I'm going to just have a difference, try the difference between these just to see what it's going to look like, but it's rather magnificent with these powders on black, I must say. So let's see if I'm going to go for some gold, and mind you, this is a really fine powder, and there is a lid of sorts here, or just a something here. I could just start with what's on top, couldn't I? Let's see if I can get it opened. I don't remember how I opened this, but I suppose I used this. So there are some sprinkler openings there, and you see that I can't use it more than once because it's going to be as talc powder perhaps, and it's going to sort of be so dry that the glue won't stay there. If I'm going to lift it up, you can see that there are some accents of gold here and there, so that could be really nice just have there. So I'm thinking perhaps this isn't too bad, but I'm just going to have a look, see at what colors I did have here. I do have the green and the lilac opal. So this one is going to be sort of lilac and opal, depending on the surface, I suppose. Green opal there is, blue opal, peach opal, and even pink. So some of them are two-colored and some of them are one-colored. So I think I'll just wait with the golden a little bit more. Gold opal. And I'm thinking that perhaps I should try to use the black of this just to see what I could get out of it. Oopsie. It's quite a bit of black there. Oopsie. I thought it was going to drop and it did. Oops, my goodness. Well, this one does give quite a lot in one go, I must say. Well, let's see where I can end up with this. Well, as you can see now, it has sort of gotten a marbled effect. And I was really looking for some oomph here. So I think I need to go back, because I've put on so much water now, so of course everything is going to be diluted and everything. So I do really need to go back and add on some color here. So I'm going to go for the Ost Red, just to see what happens. But I think I'll just add on some Scarlet as well. I think I'll just add on all of the 3 colors in one go, just to see how well they can blend together, because I don't want to add on too much water here now. And let's see, I do have the water spray bottle there. I do like the way just look at this. I mean, it's magical, I must say. These brush show powders, I do like them. I do like them a lot, because they sort of, I mean, it's just like magic. And let's see, the golden powder actually is going to seep through or peek through like that. So it's not going to be covered. I'm not sure if I like it at all, actually. I'm not sure. So that's where my mind is now. I'm going to go for the burnt sienna, and I'm thinking that it's sort of in the same color scheme still. Just to get some brown into it. It doesn't have to be much, I hope. And what I'm thinking of now, of course, is that this has dried completely, I could go in with some shimmery paste, just dab it on here and there with my finger. I'm thinking gold and perhaps a little bit of black, just to sort of give this more depth. But this one needs to dry until tomorrow, I'm sure. So what I think I'll just do is look for the black. Look for the black. Don't I have a black? Yes, I do. I'm going to go for a black brusher as well, just to give it some more deep depth. And I'm sure I'm going to have sort of destroyed it, but that's the way things are then. So I'm just going to take advantage of that drippy effect. So there's going to be some movement and action there. You know what, I'm just going to leave it to dry until tomorrow, come back and see how I feel about this. But I do believe that I need some more black here. Is there even a hole? Well, there is, I suppose. Water. Well, I'm going to stop here. I'll be back. Bye-bye. So, here's the final piece. It became something with a love theme. I really enjoyed making all of these texture bits, pieces here and there, using stencils and sprays, or perhaps it was Brusho I used. Sometimes I just tend to forget. And what I did was actually just sort of put this love word in here. I die cut this with a thin die, and I put it here, sort of to keep it clean and simple, sort of, if you know what I mean. So this is basically it. I hope you find the tutorial helpful, and you know what, if you don't like to watch things in a really slow speed, you could always fast forward if you wanted to look at this perhaps for a second time or so. Okay, I'm going to sign off right now. Bye bye.